One, it is AP test week here, and we're ready to go. You guys are ready to go. I have a good feeling. People that have asked for feedback on things, I've given feedback on. I felt really good about what you've done, and I'll be having 2 office hours this week. It'll be posted on the classroom. I just don't want to get it wrong in the video, but I'll be having 2, one the day of the test and one the day before. So if you want to pop in, ask questions, you can always email me questions too, or on the Google Classroom, send a private comment. You can do that. I'm not going to belabor you with work. I know a lot of you have other AP tests studying, so the work, quote unquote, this week will be very minimal. But if you watch this for Historical Period 7, we'll do that. So I also will post a massive kind of video list. You don't have to watch all those, but I want to give you some resources. If you're, hey, this Historical Period I'm a little sketchy on, this one I think I'm good, pick and choose, go over what you can, have the cheat sheets ready to go, and we could talk about it. So, but I do want to go over Historical Period 7. It's the most recent, so that's why I'm not giving you a DBQ this week or work on this specifically. We did SAQs at the beginning of the online work, and you guys did really well. So I think you'll be fine here. What I would give you would probably be World War II related anyway, so we've covered that pretty thoroughly. I think you'll be fine, but if you want something, let me know, and I definitely have resources for you. So, Historical Period 7, 1890 to 1945, and this is kind of post-Gilded Age, Progressive Era through World War II. So some topics to know. Imperialism, which we kind of got into a little bit last week, as kind of crosses this timeline a little bit. So, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Roosevelt Corollary, Panama, those kind of things. Spanish-American War, so you can make sure that you know that, and our dealings with Cuba, thinking that, hey, we're going to liberate the Cubans and we're going to get Cuba. That didn't happen. We gave back to them, right? The Philippines was the area that we got involved and took over and kind of tried to take it for ourselves, but Filipinos weren't too fond of that, so that didn't work out. The Progressives, the Progressive Era. So the Muckrakers, we talked about before, the old journalism turns into Muckrakers here that are going to continue to push for women's suffrage and a lot of those ideals. World War I, military diplomacy. You don't have to know battles. You don't have to know wars. Just know why we got involved, how we got involved. So the Zimmerman telegram from Germany to Mexico that was intercepted that basically said, hey, Mexico attacked the U.S., keep them out of this. And then the Lusitania being sunk was the big one. And that really got Americans raring and ready to go. The home front for World War I, very similar with World War II, where we go to total war. We see more industrialization, factories. I feel like World War I kind of happens as kind of we learn what to do, and then World War II, it's World War I on steroids, what we do at the home front. The 1920s, roaring 20s, right? Innovation, communication, technology, refrigerator, electricity, all that stuff. We'll get into that. Cultural and political controversies. So Republican laissez-faire economics to the Great Depression, kind of what happened with that. The Great Depression, the stock market crash, the New Deal, make sure you know some of those alphabet agencies. We did that project right before we left. Interwar foreign policy. So what happened between the wars? Isolationism was the policy. Stay out of everything else. World War II, what we mobilize. Military-wise, once again, you don't have to know battles, but know why we got involved, Pearl Harbor, and kind of what happened from there, especially in the home front. And then post-war diplomacy, I don't think they're going to get into it, kind of what happened after the war, but know about the Russian Revolution, know that we emerged as a superpower with the Soviet Union. So, themes: American national identity, new European immigrants that were first considered, not American, Italians and Greek and Irish, now they're white by the end of World War II, by the end of this historical period. New world power status, what I just mentioned, with the Soviet Union. Us, Soviet Union, going to be 2 big powers at the end of this. Europe loses it during World War II, so we gain that status. And a new era of federal government intervention in the economy and personal life. So the New Deal is going to put more power on the federal government, more power on the people. So some piece of evidence with this prohibition, an example of that federal government intervention, gangsters, Al Capone, or those things that emerged during prohibition, and the Russian Revolution being what pushes the Soviet Union on top. there you go. Politics of power. Woodrow Wilson becomes the first Democrat to win power in 1912. FDR from 1932 to 1945. So post-Civil War, the Democrats kind of fallen off, and Woodrow Wilson really the first Democrat to really have power here and exercise that. Women's suffrage in 1920 is granted. Segregation, disenfranchisement. African Americans are paid less, even in the military, until FDR changes that with executive order. So that's why the civil rights movement's going to happen from this. So I also remember Herbert Hoover. Remember his kind of failings as president, the bonus army, when he refuses the bonuses and sends soldiers to kill veterans who are protesting. FDR's relief, recovery, reform of the New Deal, Pearl Harbor, D-Day, some of the big events of World War II. Work exchange technology. So this was a major era of innovation: electricity, radio. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Cars, flight. The refrigerator. A lot of things coming out at this point. Laissez-faire economics. Right, it was kind of the Republican ideal from Warren Harding through Calvin Coolidge and Herbert Hoover. Stay out of the economy. Let it handle itself. That leads to stock market crash. Do you remember talking about all the fake ways stockbrokers would prop up stocks and get rich off of other people? A lot of these were fake companies and stocks. So that was the Great Depression started from that. New Deal, World War II, and the Depression. And so if the DBQ is on an earlier economic event or how it ended, that could be synthesis. Industrialization, leading to a post-war boom after World War II. Key piece of evidence: trust busting, Taft and Roosevelt. Republican laissez-faire policies: Henry Ford and the production line, the radio, alphabet agencies. I listed out a bunch here, not all of them: WPA, CWA, AA, CCC, FSA, FERA, NYA, TVA. Culture and society: backlash to minorities, immigrants. Include the reemergence of the KKK. So especially after World War I, you kind of have reemergence of Italian immigrants and many immigrants that are going to be viewed as Catholics. The KKK is going to come back from that. Pioneering of American culture, jazz, the Harlem Renaissance, Langston Hughes. We talked about him pretty thoroughly. So that's kind of key if DBQ talks about African American achievement. Harlem Renaissance, jazz, good synthesis for that. Many immigrants turned to anarchism and want kind of this disruption of the government, bombs being mailed to newspapers and to government officials. Sacco and Vanzetti, I think I have, maybe not here, but I have in the next one as key piece of outside evidence. WAC, the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, in World War II. Social gospel, muckrakers, progressives, the flappers in the roaring 20s, jazz, Scopes Monkey Trial, kind of a controversial cultural icon. Migration settlement, we were up to 1 million immigrants a year. The quota system passed in that kind of Republican era is going to limit that by country. Great migration. Right, Black Southerners from 1890 through the early 20th century moved to northern cities, western cities for industrialization. Get away from sharecropping, move, work in the factories. So there you go. The Bracero program in terms of Mexican immigrants, another aspect. Geography and the environment. New technology makes the world a smaller place. We have a telephone. We can call England. That's the difference. Conservation movement begins. The ocean kind of shields us from these wars. It takes a big event, whether it be Lusitania or Pearl Harbor, to get us involved. Development of the atomic bombs, the Manhattan Project. I talked about that in the lecture way back when we cover World War II. The Panama Canal, good neighbor policy, some of the early stuff as well. Then America in the World, Spanish-American War, World War I, isolation in the 20s and the 30s, World War II and its aftermath. So, this is kind of a big era for the world and us emerging as a world power, but a lot of that stuff. Even the Spanish Civil War, the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, that, some Americans go and fight in the Spanish Civil War against Franco. Appeasement of letting letting kind of Adolf Hitler, England and France were appeasing him. We were kind of letting him go. The Lend-Lease Act, the Neutrality Acts, Tampico incident, some of the things that happened leading up to that war and around the era. So I think you should be pretty good with this. Hopefully, if you did some work early in this online learning and when we were leaving the very end of school. But if you have questions, come in office hours, shoot me an email. Make sure you're prepared. I think you're going to be good. I know it can be a little scary to be like, hey, what's one essay question? Maybe you're good at the multiple choice. But we've done DBQs to death. You know what the process is. Print out all the cheat sheets. I'll make a couple posts this week. I don't want to overload you, but I just want to make sure you have the resources that you need. If you're missing a document, you're missing, hey, what should I write about? I can't find it in the classroom. Don't spend an hour looking for it. Shoot me an email. I'll attach it. I'll share it with you. We'll get you what you need. So print out those cheat sheets for the test. Have them laid out. But hey, it's historical period 5. Grab those two, and it'd be quick reference for you. That's my suggestion on the way to study. Go back through those cheat sheets. Make sure you know everything. If you're into watching the videos, there's tons of videos out there. I'll make a post that includes all of that. And honestly, I think you'll be good. Come into office hours, ask some questions. You want to just chat about a historical event of some sort, we can do that. So, I'm looking forward to see how it goes. And hearing back from you, definitely let me know after the test how it goes within your legal rights to do so. And I'll actually be getting them soon after, so it'll be good. But everyone's going to be great. I'll see you soon.